Most traders would be shocked if they discovered the real reason successful traders win, because it has nothing to do with incredible intelligence, secret indicators, or superhuman instincts. In fact, if you really want the truth, the thing that separates successful traders from everyone else is almost embarrassingly simple. It's boring. It's repetitive. It's mechanical. And most people hate it. Let me start with a quick story. I once met a trader who made just over $2 million in his best year. Nothing flashy, nothing wild. And when I asked him what his edge was, he didn't talk about algorithms or research or insights. He said, "I do the same thing every day, the same way, no matter how I feel." That was it. And I remember sitting there thinking, that can't be it. But it was. So let me ask you, have you ever wondered why some traders with average intelligence and extremely simple strategies beat traders who are smarter, faster, or more hardworking? Why do some people with fewer tools, less knowledge, and less experience outperform traders who practically live inside charts? Why are the winners so often the ones you'd least expect? The truth is that most traders are exhausted. They're overwhelmed. They're frustrated. They're constantly chasing new strategies, new systems, new signal services, new mentors, new courses, and yet they keep repeating the same cycle of pain. Maybe you know the feeling. You open your charts with good intentions, but 20 minutes later you're overanalyzing everything. You're switching time frames, tweaking indicators, second-guessing entries, forcing trades because you feel like you should be trading. Or maybe you're the trader who wakes up early, watches hours of market action, reads endless strategy threads, and still ends the week red. And deep down, you ask yourself, how can I be working this hard, studying this much, grinding so intensely, and still not seeing results? You feel stress in your gut. You feel pressure in your chest. You feel like you're trying so hard, yet the market keeps kicking you back down. And the worst part, you start wondering, is something wrong with me? Now here's the reality check that flips everything upside down. Trading is the only field where doing more almost always leads to worse results. All the overworking, the overthinking, the endless effort, it doesn't help you. It hurts you. Because the people who fail are the ones who believe trading rewards hustle, intensity, grind, and willpower. They think the market is like a job where the harder you work, the more you earn. But trading is not construction. It's not sales. It's not a classroom. There's no boss to impress. There's no prize for working 9 hours. The market does not pay you for effort. It only pays you for discipline. And that's the mental gap most traders never fill. They assume that success must be complicated. They assume that the key must be difficult or elite. So they jump around from strategy to strategy. They take too many trades because they can't slow down. They move stop losses because they can't tolerate discomfort. They ignore their own rules because they're addicted to excitement. One trader I knew once told me, "I lose money every time I try to improve things." Another told me, "I keep breaking my rules even though I know my rules work." That's the trap. You don't need to work harder. You need to become more repeatable. Let me paint a picture that will stick with you. Think of a professional long-distance runner. Not the one who sprints around wildly, trying new techniques every week, switching shoes, changing form, copying other athletes, chasing hacks. I mean the one who wakes up quietly at 5 a.m., puts on the same shoes, runs the same route, at the same pace, day after day. They don't look glamorous doing it. They're not posting highlight reels. They aren't experimenting with brand new techniques every time they feel bored. They master one rhythm and live inside it. Or think of a musician. The great ones aren't practicing flashy solos all day. They're drilling scales over and over, thousands of times. Not because it's exciting, but because mastery comes from repetition, not novelty. Now ask yourself, in your trading, do you act more like the athlete refining their routine or the one panicking and constantly changing direction? Do you trade like the musician who repeats the basics until they're automatic, or the one who jumps straight into advanced pieces and trips over the fundamentals? Be honest, because most traders fall into the second category, even though they desperately want the first category's results. Now let's dive into the actual principles that separate the consistent winners from the constant strugglers. The first principle is painfully simple. Successful traders remove choice. They don't wake up and wonder, what should I trade today? They follow a process that tells them what to look for. They don't ask, should I take this trade? They follow predefined criteria that determine yes or no. When you remove choice, you remove emotional noise. I once mentored a trader who had incredible analysis skills, but terrible consistency. Every week he broke his rules. Every week he got emotional. Every week he sabotaged himself because his decisions were based on feeling, not structure. So we created a simple checklist, literally 5 boxes that had to be checked before he could take any trade. Within 2 months, he was profitable. Not because he got smarter, not because he became more skilled, but because he reduced decisions. And here's the key takeaway. Humans don't fail from lack of knowledge. They fail from having too much freedom. The second principle is that successful traders repeat the same setup until they know it intimately. They aren't trying 20 strategies. They're not experimenting with new indicators every week. They don't care about catching every move or mastering every market condition. They pick one setup, one pattern, one approach, and they study it until they can trade it in their sleep. Let me give you a story. There's a trader who became famous for trading a single pattern on the S&P 500 futures. That's it. One setup. People laughed at him because they thought he wasn't diverse enough. They thought he lacked creativity. Meanwhile, he banked 7-figure years. Why? Because repetition creates mastery. Think of how many times you've changed strategies in the last year. How many indicators you've tested. How many different market styles you've tried. What if you had spent that time mastering one thing instead of chasing 10? Where would you be right now? The third principle might be the most boring of all. Successful traders are patient to the point of seeming lazy. They wait, and wait, and wait. And sometimes people think they aren't even working. But they are. They're doing the invisible work, monitoring, analyzing, observing, staying disciplined, resisting temptation. It's like a hunter sitting silently in the forest while everyone else is running around making noise. The amateur thinks movement equals productivity. The professional knows stillness is where accuracy is born. I remember one day watching 2 traders side by side. One took 11 trades. The other took 2. Guess who made money? The one who waited. And here's the unforgettable phrase. Your profitability comes from the trades you don't take. The fourth principle is that successful traders treat losses as routine operational costs. They don't freak out. They don't spiral. They don't interpret a red trade as a personal failure. They understand that small losses are the price of doing business. Losing doesn't scare them because they know their process works over a series of trades, not a single outcome. I once asked a successful trader how he manages losing streaks. He said, I don't manage losing streaks. I manage execution. In other words, he doesn't focus on results. He focuses on repeatability. Instead of obsessing over P&L, he obsesses over consistency. That mindset alone puts him miles ahead of the average trader, who falls apart emotionally after 3 losses, starts revenge trading, widens stops, or increases size to make it back. So let me ask you, when you lose, do you stay calm? Or do you change your entire plan because of one outcome? Before we move into long-term thinking, let me give you a paradox that will stay with you. The traders who succeed are the ones who are willing to be bored. Trading isn't supposed to feel like entertainment. It's supposed to feel like routine. And the more boring it becomes, the more profitable it gets. Another paradox. The traders who work the least often make the most because they only act when conditions are ideal, not when they're emotionally restless. Think about that. How many times have you taken a trade just because you were watching the charts and felt like doing something? How many times have you held on to a losing position because you wanted to avoid boredom by staying in a trade longer than you should? The market punishes impatience every time, but it rewards discipline with exponential generosity. Now let's talk about mental conditioning, because your brain has to be trained for boredom and discipline. One exercise I teach traders is called one setup only. For the next week, you are only allowed to take your best setup. Nothing else. No exceptions. This forces you to become selective. Another exercise is called chart freeze. You analyze the market before it opens, create your plan, and then freeze your analysis for the rest of the session. No new indicators. No new bias. No mid-trade adjustments unless the plan says so. This trains you to trust your preparation instead of your emotions. Another exercise is 2-minute reflection. After every trade, win or lose, you take 2 minutes to write down what you actually executed well and what you didn't. This builds awareness. Over time, these exercises rewire your brain to follow structure rather than impulse. And here's the reflection question. How often do you trade based on emotion disguised as analysis? Let's bring in a metaphor to cement this. Picture a leopard hunting. It doesn't chase every animal it sees. It doesn't sprint around trying to create opportunity. It watches. It waits. It conserves energy. It knows that patience is part of the process, not a delay from the process. When the perfect moment appears, rare, precise, unmistakable, it strikes once. Clean, efficient, effective. The leopard survives not because it works the hardest, but because it works the smartest. Meanwhile, failing traders behave like frantic predators, running, lunging, exhausting themselves, chasing everything, catching nothing. The leopard knows this. Energy wasted is opportunity lost. Now ask yourself, are you the leopard or the panicked animal sprinting in circles? As we move into the final part of this message, I want you to imagine yourself 6 months from now. Imagine being the trader who follows one routine so consistently that it becomes part of your identity. Imagine being someone who's not controlled by impulse, boredom, or anxiety. Imagine sitting at your desk knowing exactly what you're looking for and ignoring everything else. Imagine losses feeling normal instead of painful. Imagine wins feeling predictable instead of lucky. You don't become that trader by working harder. You become that trader by becoming consistent. I knew a trader who turned his life around this way. He went from losing every month to winning every month because he made one decision. I will execute the same process every day for 90 days. No changes, no experiments, no exceptions. And by month 3, he wasn't even recognizing himself anymore, because he finally understood that success had nothing to do with talent. It had everything to do with discipline. Let me leave you with this. You are not a trader who needs more tools. You are not a trader who needs more intelligence. You are not someone who needs to work harder or grind longer hours. You are someone who needs to simplify, repeat, and commit. The market does not reward creativity. It rewards consistency. The market does not reward effort. It rewards discipline. And the moment you embrace that, everything changes. So here is your mantra. Say it with me. I don't chase mastery. I repeat mastery. That is who you are becoming. Not a frantic trader searching for the magical key, but a disciplined operator following a simple, repeatable process. And if you're ready to step into that identity, then commit today. Not tomorrow. Not next week. Today. Commit to being consistent. Commit to being boring. Commit to mastering one thing so deeply that it becomes part of you. Because that, my friend, is the shocking truth. Success doesn't belong to the smartest trader. It belongs to the most disciplined one,